Let's fucking go! Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the music. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the PHNX Sun Devils show. I'm Anthony Totri, joined as always on this lovely post-game show by Ralph Amsden, the one, the only Arizona State getting it done at the Rose Bowl, 17-7. Ralph, we are going to get into the player of the game, the numbers, guys trending up. We've got some takeaways, but first and foremost, what we just watched was Pablo Picasso himself painting the greatest thing that anyone has ever graced their eyes on Pac-12 Network, the Rose Bowl robbery, as you call it. Ralph, explain to me what I just watched for 60 minutes.
I don't know if it was Pablo Picasso. It might have been like Dave Picasso doing his best version of Pablo, yet it still sold for $30 million. What we just watched was kind of an affront to the game of football. And it's incredible. Second robbery that took place at the Rose Bowl this year. Shout out to Deion Sanders. And I'm fascinated that Kenny Dillingham, Brian Ward, that they even had the stones to put together this kind of game plan to see if it would possibly work. It feels a lot like that scene from Dumb and Dumber when they're just like, see those guys back there? They just offered to buy us a round of beers. The fact that we got away with this is unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely.
Chip Kelly's responsible for advancing the game of football offensively beyond anything we could have ever imagined. And Kenny Dillingham just walked out onto his field and was like, what if tight end throw ball? And 17
he took football down to its most basic root. Let me get the ball in my best player's hands and just see what he could do. They said it at the end of the broadcast. Cam Skattebo tonight was the first kid picked at recess. It's the guy that's better at everything than anybody else, throwing the ball, running the ball, catching the ball, punting the ball. This guy can seriously do it all. We'll get into Cam Skattebo a little bit later. But just the fact that Arizona State, to your point, defensively was able to put up such a ridiculous game plan on top of what they did, I'm going to call it a masterpiece on offense. Because in my mind, it was literally, it's one of the scenes from that 70s show is how I picture the entire coaching staff a few days before the game trying to figure out, they're like, okay, how do we get this done? And it's just going in a circle from Kenny Dillingham to Brian Ward to Coach Samp, and then back, and they're like, what if we did this? And what if we did this? And what if Jalen played quarterback? And then what if Deshaun Mallory looked like Haloti Ngata out there? That's exactly what this game plan was. And then you get into some of the crazy possessions. I just want to get your take on it because we've seen this offense kind of evolve throughout the season. And it's evolved, and then it's devolved, and then it did something that we don't know if it's evolution yet, or if it's just trickery, right? But Arizona State managed to put together a 12-play, 75-yard drive in 6 minutes and 40 seconds to put this game away in the fourth quarter. What level of evolution in the offense, or I guess just in the game plan from Kenny Dillingham, suggests that there is so much growth just in even a little drive like that?
I don't know, because none of it should have worked. None of it should have worked. First of all, that drive wasn't long enough. UCLA gave up. They gave up because they genuinely believed that their best opportunity to win this game was to quit even trying to figure out what to do on the defensive side of the football. They couldn't stop it. They literally quit allowed us to score a touchdown so they could put their offense on the field. This is a game that included Chip Kelly seeing if he could intentionally let us score, and Kenny Dillingham willingly on multiple drives taking as big of losses as possible so as to control the clock. Like the level of galaxy brain on both sides of the ball, like it got to the point where Chip Kelly's like, what if I do the opposite of everything I've ever held and believed to be true? And I mean, what we were supposed to learn from this? We learned that nothing mattered. We learned to be football nihilists. Like nothing matters. Eat Arby's. Like
it really is that simple. It sometimes is just that simple, and I feel like Kenny Dillingham did exactly that. You mentioned the drive where they were able to lose so many yards while also impacting the game in a positive way for themselves. Brad Denny had a gem of a tweet, and this is what it had to say a little bit earlier in the game. ASU's third down play happened at 13:37 left in the fourth quarter. UCLA didn't get the punt until the 11-minute and 45-second mark. Arizona State was just taking delay of game after delay of game after delay of game and somehow impacting the game that benefited them.
First of all, like a little behind the scenes, you called me because it was one of the more absurd things to ever happen in college football, just to make sure that like you weren't having an acid trip or something like that.
Exactly.
And I thought it was hilarious. I was so caught up in the moment that I didn't realize how upset that it made Arizona State fans. Like genuinely upset. Like it was to the point where I genuinely believe that people on the timeline were like, I'd like to win, but not like this.
A win's a win. Yeah. A win is a win. You got to love it, man. Look, I've seen a lot of Arizona State games, Ralph, I'm sure you as well, that have ended in crazy fashion, that they've probably won in crazy fashion. Like, I tweeted it out. We are blessed to watch this Arizona State team play football because nowhere else in the country is your 270-pound future NFL tight end playing quarterback at a Division I level while also your running back, who is your leading rusher, can throw the ball, is also a great pass catcher, is the best punter on the team. The only place in the Power 5 where that happens is Tempe, Arizona. Are you kidding me? We are so blessed. I'm going to get on my knees at the end of the day and just bow and say a good grace that I get to watch Arizona State football every single Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, this might be like the whole, like, is Taco Bell beef thing when you say football. When you say football at the end of Arizona State football, I'm not sure that's what we just saw, but we won. It feels good to win. I'm happy. I think that anybody who's still mad about taking those penalties, you got to let that go. You have to let that go. Maybe go delete those tweets. Just forget that you ever got upset, because what it lacked was giving somebody credit for even being in the position to make a decision that ridiculous. Should Arizona State have ever been up 10-0 in this game? Like, think back to the part of the game, Pac-12 Network broadcast, where Arizona State is at their own 1-yard line, and Lincoln Kennedy says out loud, well, maybe Arizona State will give UCLA a safety here to help get them on the board. And that's how UCLA can get their offense going with 2 points, so that it will be 3-2. Like, that was the discussion. Not that Arizona State was going to go 99 yards and have the drive capped off by like the running back being Joe Montana. That was not anything that entered. And then for the rest of the game, Lincoln Kennedy was like, I guess I really called this one wrong. I don't even know what to think. Like, he was just floored for the remainder of the game. Unbelievable.
You can't make it up, man. You cannot make it up. We're going to continue the conversation about Arizona State. I do want to get to the numbers of the game. By the numbers presented by Desert Financial Credit Union. Of course, guys, the only number that matters is that final score. Arizona State 17, UCLA 7. Ralph's already giggling at the stats, and that's making me laugh. But in terms of total yards, the Bruin outgaining Arizona State 300 to 250. You look at the yards on the ground, UCLA with a $183, the Sun Devils just 74. And then the way these teams performed on fourth down, Arizona State converting 1 of 2, and UCLA a big goose egg 0 for 4. And then in terms of the red zone, Arizona State capitalizing 2 for 2 on red zone opportunities, UCLA 1 of 3. Ralph, I feel like you could go any which way here, but which number stands out the most to you?
0 for 4 on fourth downs, particularly like not taking the 2 field goal attempts in the red zone for UCLA. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. That was very cool of you. We accept your charity. It is the season for giving. And I don't know what that was about. Do they not have the ability to kick right now? Are they in dire straits on special teams in the same way that we are? That was very, very confusing. And for Arizona State's defensive line to hold up twice in a row, back to back, to literally embody bend but don't break, like that is what stands out to me the most.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of discussion about the Arizona State offense, and rightfully so with what Kenny Dillingham did out there. But in all seriousness, the defense played its best game of the season, held UCLA to no points in that first half. I believe there was like a crazy tweet that was the first time a team other than Utah held UCLA to no points in the first half at home in like the last 7 years. Like what Arizona State did defensively tonight, I think shows a lot of grit, not only from the players, but the coaching staff as well, coming off the worst loss of the season at a point where there's still, look, your quarterback's going into the week hurt. You don't know who's going to end up starting. Some of these players have taken a beating all season long because they're doing these types of roles. And then for the last road game of the season, Kenny's able to get these guys up when they're 2-6 and put together a really, really solid defensive performance. And Brian Ward, dude, just, I know he got the extension and it's coming off a rough week against Utah, but some of the things that he is capable of from a football mind standpoint are absolutely wild. And that makes me believe that Brian Ward from time to time might be taking an OGs, because the only way that you are able to craft a masterpiece like Brian Ward and Kenny Dillingham did is under the influence of OGs, guys. Look, the football season, absolutely hectic. Arizona State sports, absolutely hectic, but it's okay. Thankfully, our buds at OG's Brands are back at it with exclusive deals for PHNX listeners, and they've made it super easy for you to score these savings. Get 25% off any OG's products at your neighborhood Zenleaf location from now until November 30th when you place an online order and use our code. Just a heads up, a word of the wise here. Thanksgiving's in a couple weeks. Snag yourself a bag of OG's, and you're going to have the greatest Thanksgiving of your entire life. I'm telling you that right now. Just head to www.zenleafdispensaries.com. Find your closest location, order your favorite OG's gummies for pickup and enter discount code PHNX at checkout. This deal is exclusive to our PHNX listeners, and a reminder, it is only available for online/pickup orders. Discount code PHNX is active until November 30th. And I know there's a lot of Arizona State fans in the chat at home, listening on audio, ready to celebrate this damn good victory. And I'll tell you, there's no better place to celebrate it than Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Guys, nobody does it better. They offer an authentic and immersive experience. Maybe you're not going just to gamble, but they have a ton of TVs, a little sports book for you guys to go out there, check it out, belly on up, and let them show you what next level is all about. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. We got a super chat from E&E Disputed. I believe in KD. I've seen enough. Bring on Bama. Hell yeah. Bring on Bama. Slim Jim, all the angry ASU keyboard warriors on social media need to sit back and let Kenny cook. And then, of course, we got Shane Diefenbach in the chat with just, yo! Things you love to see. Shane showing up out of nowhere on a bus somewhere in the middle of America. This man is an American hero, but Another American hero who's getting bottle service tonight. Not anybody on offense. That's not how we win championships. That's not how we beat Bama. We beat Bama with defense, and Deshaun Mallory is getting bottle service tonight. Ralph, 9 tackles, 2 pass breakups. As a defensive tackle, to have the impact that he had for Arizona State's defense tonight, not only from those 9 tackles, not just in the pass breakups, but specifically in 3rd and short, in 4th and short, Deshaun Mallory was always showing up.
Absolutely. I mean, if not for all of the sort of like the strange contraption based like offensive moves in this game, this would be the Deshaun Mallory game. We don't actually win this game without the defense, without those 2 4th down stops, without him in the backfield. Like I watched the way he played tonight, and I was like, Deshaun Mallory, like they could have used him on the other side of that swinging gate formation to try to stop what ASU was doing. Like we should have been able to rent him out or something like that. He was that valuable to where we could get rental fees for for him to play on both sides of the ball, just switch uniforms. He was awesome. He was awesome. This does not happen without him. If you saw some of the people that were running on and off the field during the game, like these are former walk-ons. These are people who are not on the depth chart at the beginning of the season. We're not talking about the offensive line, and all the injury issues with quarterback and everything like that. The defense has actually been going through the same thing. It just hasn't so blatantly affected the performance, which means we don't talk about it. But it is happening, and it's just a further testament to the just leap forward that this defense is taking. I don't understand if you're out there and you're looking for a place to make your second home in the transfer portal. Like I don't understand why you wouldn't consider Arizona State at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's, again, similar performances that Brian Ward's defense has put up. And I've said time and again that there is no better place if you are a defender, like you said, in the transfer portal, or if you are a 4-star, 3-star, 5-star high schooler out there that wants to play for a chaotic, aggressive defense that just lets you play backyard football. Like, there is no better place than Brian Ward's scheme. And, like, again, to point it out, this was a game that Arizona State did put together a circus on offense and won a football game. And then we're still sitting here because of the performance. The defensive tackle is getting player of the game. Like, Deshaun Mallory led the team in total tackles with 9. He led the team in solo tackles with 6. Again, a giant step forward for a transfer defensive tackle. He had half a sack, half a tackle for loss, and then, again, 2 pass breakups as a defensive tackle at Arizona State. Doesn't happen often, okay? So the defense did exactly what they needed to do tonight. They ended up playing the better defensive game than UCLA. That is the second best defense in the entire conference. That says a whole hell of a lot. Outside of Deshaun Mallory, was there anybody else specifically that kind of stuck out to you on defense?
Gosh, we had a pretty great series of plays from Tate Romney.
Yeah,
I thought he was electric at times. That would have to be my pick, but it was really a group. Trey Brown, it was a group effort. It really was tonight. They weren't missing tackles. There was a couple of times, and you have to understand, Colin Schley has done this to everybody this year. He has not been able to throw the ball, but they get him out on the edge, and he'll break a 15 to 20 yard run pretty regularly. And so to withstand that happening several times, to not get gassed as a defense, it's just a group effort. But I mean, Tate Romney, Trey Brown, I would mention them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A group effort on defense, a group effort in the coaching staff. And then, as we'll see here in Heat Index, a group effort from a trio of offensive players. Let's go ahead and get into Heat Index. The very first player, none other than podcast host and part-time tight end, the baby rhinoceros himself, Jalin Conyers, quarterback 1, tight end 1. He does it all for Arizona State. And look, I'm going to be honest. I had a conversation with him earlier in the week, and he's like, just be ready. I'm like, huh? He's like, just be ready. I'm like, okay, Kobe Bryant. And sure enough, quarterback 1, ladies and gentlemen, Jalin Conyers. What this guy is capable of doing is seriously ridiculous. 6 carries for 14 yards. So he was a running back tonight. He was 2 for 2, had 108 quarterback rating, 2 yards. Oh, and not to mention he had a catch as well. Like Jalin Conyers, seriously, is one of the main parts of this Arizona State circus on offense. Like similar to Cam Skattebo, is there anything that this guy can't do?
Well, he used to be
I know where you might go. I know where you might go here. Go ahead.
He used to be able to fall forward.
And then you said something. You said something, and now he hasn't fallen forward since.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But everything else, and not, I mean, when you have to tell him to be more specific next time. He tells you, get ready. You couldn't have imagined that it would be that. It certainly, there was one point of the broadcast where they were like, well, I guess technically this is ASU's 4th starting quarterback of the season. Like, I mean, technically, yeah, that Jalin Conyers got the start tonight, which is just so bizarre. And beyond that, I mean, he was out there to be able to learn all that in a single week is wild.
Yeah.
And I guess it just goes to show you that, like, if you put faith in your players, they might be up for the challenge.
Yeah.
They might be up to let you innovate and play around a little bit, and you don't have to be so rigid. I mean, this really was spitting in the face of the rules of football.
Yeah, no,
it really
absolutely.
was. I feel like the officiating crew intentionally missed knock it off.
Yeah, the Pac-12 refs, I think, were at full display as well. Like it is seriously funny. I asked because we had the Coyote show in here too. I was like, what is worse, Pac-12 network or Pac-12 refs? Like, is this going to be the age-old question of like the chicken and the egg, except which one is worse? Because you wouldn't necessarily get to see Pac-12 refs in full form if Pac-12 network didn't exist, right?
Right, and if you don't have Pac-12 network, or you didn't check out the earlier game on Pac-12 network, University of Arizona got a win today because of Pac-12 officiating, and them deciding that this was going to be the only time that they don't call a legitimate targeting there at the end of the game on Shedeur Sanders, and it gave University of Arizona the opportunity to win. And if I'm Colorado, I'm happy to be out of this conference next year. Dion doesn't like those late kickoffs. He definitely doesn't like these officials. He doesn't even like some of his players, but I tell you what, I like our players, and they all have many different uses. And apparently, one of the ways to give your offensive line a breather is to just set them out 35 yards down the field, chilling. Let them take a couple plays off. They earned it.
Who would have thought that Kenny Dillingham's like, you know what, UCLA, they've got one of the best pass rushes in the entire nation. I think they have 3 players that are in the top 10 in the country in quarterback pressures. So Kenny's like, oh, that's easy. We'll just stick all of our offensive linemen out wide. Well, that'll neutralize it pretty easily. And sure enough, it's like, wait, is he allowed to do that? Like, that's exactly what it had to be like for UCLA of like, wait, they can play offense like this?
When they make Moneyball and it includes the 2023 ASU Sun Devils, I just want there to be that scene where whoever's playing Kenny Dillingham is sitting there in an office with Bo Baldwin and a couple of the other, and Sean Aguano, and maybe Sean Aguano's looking off in the distance, and he's like, man, imagine how good we'd be if there wasn't a pass rush. And you have Kenny Dillingham sitting there at his desk like, no pass rush. No pass rush. No pass rush. And then he just gets up and runs over to the board. Like, I'm imagining that's how that went down, because I've never seen the swinging gate work, much less be used 25 times in one game.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm clipping this. I'm putting on social media. Coach Dillingham. Is that how it went down? Is that exactly how it went down? We need to know. Everybody wants to know. Look, we got a couple more.
I want people to put who they want to play Kenny Dillingham in the movie.
Beautiful. Let us know. It's got to be, I mean, the early favorite for me is Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt has to play Kenny Dillingham. Are you kidding me? Like, at a certain point, or Matthew McConaughey might be good.
Yeah. Yeah. There's if you're Ben Foster, you know who Ben Foster is? Yes. Unbelievably just like constantly intense in Alpha Dogs and all these other things. I think he could bring just the like frenetic energy. That's my vote.
Could bring it together. Let's get to some of the super chats. E&E disputed with another one. This defense is legit, has been on display since the Washington game. should have won there too, most definitely. And then Joe with a 199 super chat. This was the ultimate hashtag Pac-12 after dark game. Yeah, I'm so glad Arizona State finally gets to have like one like going away Pac-12 after dark game. I think every team needs to have one of those that they're on the right side of. So I'm glad Arizona State was able to get one. But getting back to the Heat Index, a couple more players that really showed up and showed out tonight. Elijah Badger, it seems like he's either getting bottle service or on Heat Index every single week. Tonight, 12 catches, 116 yards, a touchdown on 15 targets, and 83 of those yards, 83 of those 116 were yards after the catch. And the broadcast had a great little nugget that he is third right now in the entire FBS in terms of forcing missed tackles. Elijah Badger, if you're an Arizona State fan, you will be watching this kid play on Sundays. He is the real deal. There are players at the end of careers collegiately that you talk about. Everybody talks about the Jail Mary, Jalen Strong. Everybody talks about N'Keal Harry, regardless of what's happening in the NFL. Rashad White, they're older players. Terrell Suggs, right? Like there are guys that you remember as Arizona State Sun Devils when they're in the league. Elijah Badger is going to be one of those guys that you remember in 2023 when the Sun Devils had blank amount of wins and blank amount of losses. Elijah Badger was on that team. He's the next Brandon Ayuk. Am I wrong?
He's something, man. Honey Badger's taken. Maybe he's the money badger. Like maybe that's it. Because like every single time, there was one point he got the ball tonight, Kenny Churchwell comes and hits him from the side, and then it's Kenny Churchwell 21 yards down the field making the tackle. Like it's just, he is so. They use the word slippery. That's kind of it. It's kind of tough. There's just you either have the ability, he will expose you. You either have the ability to tackle at a high level or you don't. And if you don't, you're going to get exposed. He has done it. And think about it. He was third most without the opportunities that other people are getting, without the targets that other people are getting, without the level of quarterback play that other receivers are getting. He's having to do a lot of it on his own. A lot of those catches are pretty close to the line of scrimmage on slants or bubbles.
Wow. I'm sorry. I'm just reading some of the stuff from the press conference right now, and I would love your reaction to what Dillingham said.
Okay.
He said, quote, Marvin Lewis mentioned Jim Fassel ran a swing gate package in the 70s, so they Googled it on Tuesday and implemented it again.
Okay.
I love that so much of this game is just like, sure, why not? This works.
This is an episode of Ted Lasso. Like, what is this? We Googled Jim Fossil swinging gate 1970s. Do you think it was on the first page? Or do you think they had to deep dive this?
I give up, dude.
Over a couple times.
I got nothing.
Jim Fossil, New York Giants legend. Wow. He said when he was hired that he would do whatever. But whatever really means whatever, though.
I truly can't believe it. I don't know if I'm overthinking it or if he's just the smartest man alive.
He's something, man. 2-1 in your last three with a negative 33-point differential. And it just feels so good for some reason.
It feels gross, but it feels like I said earlier, it feels like in a sick and twisted way. We're so lucky. We're so lucky that this is the football that we get to watch. Like, I feel like we are getting, it's like everybody in the late 90s, if you would have told them, hey, we're going to have electric cars, and in this city called Tempe, we're going to have little robots that deliver hamburgers and tacos and everything to kids' dorm rooms and apartments late at night, and they're going to cross the street by themselves. It's like if you would have told somebody in the 90s that, we get the chance every single Saturday to have that discussion of like, oh, this is what's next in college football in the next 10, 15 years, right?
I mean, just the idea that you have to be ready for anything. And DeAnton Lynn, the defensive coordinator for UCLA, has been so good, and none of this is on him at all. What was he supposed to do? He held ASU I mean, obviously, some of those yards were at the end of the game. Trent Bourget taking 20-yard losses on each play just because he can. But this isn't on the defense. This isn't on UCLA's offense. Obviously, they have some of the same built-in excuses that Arizona State does because of injury. This is because of Kenny Dillingham and Brian Ward.
Yeah.
That is what this is because of. You have to give credit to Arizona State, and then it starts making you wonder and fantasize about what happens if MacGyver actually gets real tools. Because we always saw MacGyver build like something to defuse a bomb out of a paperclip and a piece of tinfoil. We never got to see like, well, what if he had like an industrial table saw and like just a Swiss Army knife and a Phillips head screwdriver? What if he had normal things? And that's all I can think about right now is like, man, wait till Kenny Dillingham gets his hands on some functional, like a whole toolbox.
Yeah.
That's not to say that Arizona State doesn't have talent in place right now, but he has repeatedly said, my toolbox is not full.
Yeah.
It's barely usable. So we're just going to do what we can with it. And I don't know. Do you know anyone that predicted not only a win, but UCLA being held under 10 at home?
No, not at all. And I don't think if you would have asked anybody, given what happened last week, their initial reaction would have told you that this is a game that it's 7:00 kickoff. You're not even going to probably want to watch, right? You're going to find something else to do based off of what happened last week. But again, it just goes to show that Kenny Dillingham and this coaching staff, they really do have a real pull in the locker room with those guys. Like, it wasn't fake what we saw in the spring. It wasn't fake what you've seen in these press conferences or on the field. Like, these guys truly get up to go play for this coaching staff, and I think it says a lot. You talk about the talent, right? Arizona State, regardless of how many tools they have in the toolbox, the ones that they do have, they are truly getting every single ounce of talent out of, right? Elijah Badger, Jalin Conyers, and then the last member of our Heat Index, Cam Skattebo. Cam Skattebo, again, a guy that is consistently on Heat Index or bottle service because of how talented he really is. 12 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. He was averaging 5 yards a tote, not to mention he had a touchdown pass that went 25 yards to future NFL wide receiver Elijah Badger, and he also added 3 catches as well. Like Cam Skattebo, it's a similar case to what you said earlier about if you are a transfer trying to maximize your collegiate career and show off truly everything you can do. If you are that guy, if you have that level of talent, Cam Skattebo is a perfect example of what this team and this coaching staff will try and do for you. They will truly try and use every ounce of talent that you have to the point where you are the team's punter at running back while you've caught passes and also thrown a touchdown today. He put in a full fucking day's work in 4 quarters. Cam Skattebo literally does it all for Arizona State. And I feel like if you are a defensive coordinator, you have to be like the ensuing defensive coordinator, right? Like if I'm Oregon's DC, I'm like, how in the hell do they get away with this every single week? It's the Breaking Bad meme where he's crying and he's like, Jesse Pinkman's crying and he's like, he can't keep getting away with this. And that's exactly what defensive coordinators have to be saying about Cam Skattebo and Kenny Dillingham, because he seriously does the same shit every single week with a hint of something new that you've never thought of, and they make it work every week.
Yeah, and I mean, I was ready to complain that he wasn't super involved early on. I think he had, at the end of the first quarter, I think he had 2 carries. And so I was wondering to myself, like, oh, is he injured too? But there was a plan, and he had a plan. This is I need somebody to Photoshop. Like Kenny Dillingham in a Barbie box with just like scientist Ken, right? Lab coat and everything. Because he was just in the lab this week and apparently on Google cooking up one of the goofiest. Do you think that at any point they were like, it could work? or was it just like, hey, we're gonna try this and it is what it is? Like, we understand we're 2-7.
I'll say I've been Googling Jim Fossil swinging gate offense. Since the moment you said that, I've been Googling it, haven't found a single thing. Not a single thing.
They went down the rabbit hole, man. They absolutely went down the rabbit hole, and they put together one of the funniest but most successful game plans you could possibly put together with this roster. You know what it was like? It's like every single person that at the end of a Saturday night, they've had a couple drinks and they're sitting back, they're getting ready for bed, they pull out their phone, they open up BetMGM, and they're like, what kind of ridiculous parlay can I cook up that will make it so I never have to work again? Except when Kenny did it, it worked. He hit the parlay of a lifetime, and maybe that's a sign that Arizona State fans are lucky and they could do the same thing. And if you're going to try it over at BetMGM. They still got a phenomenal offer for you guys. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com and sign up with code PHNX. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your newly created account and place a wager in the amount of at least $10 at standard odds price, a qualifying bet. And once you have placed a qualifying bet, you guys are going to receive $200 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your wager. Again, sign up for BetMGM and use that bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app of at least $10, and you guys are going to receive $200 instantly in additional winnings regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details, and now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Ontario. Short bus in the chat. Any chance Rashada plays the last two and keeps his red shirt? I don't know. He was warming up. He was dressed out. He had participated minimally in practice throughout this last week. So potentially we could see him against Oregon, or we could see him against U of A. I'm not really sure if there's a whole lot of incentive to go out there and throw your freshman quarterback recovering from injury out on the field anymore this season. But I don't make those decisions. Look, I'm not Kenny Dillingham concocting those ridiculous game plans that end up being flawlessly executed into victories. I imagine it took a lot to put together something like that. So if I'm taking a guess, they probably stopped at Circle K on their way to the facility to get some snacks, to get some drinks, because we know they definitely spent a lot of time on Google if that's really how they got their game plan. Circle K, guys, America's thirst shop. They've got a new free membership program where you can save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Save 3 cents per gallon every day and get every 6th free on a selection of Circle K products, whether that be pizza, coffee, ice cold fountain drinks. They have it all to fuel you, to fuel Arizona State, and to fuel us here at PHNX. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Ralph, all night long, we've been talking about how this game is ridiculous. How we watched 60 minutes, 4 quarters of just head-scratching amazement that quite literally could have been a cartoon. It could have been a movie. It could have been anything. And if it was, it'd be coached by this guy right here. Pixar's animation, an AI-generated Kenny Dillingham right after a 17-7 victory over the UCLA Bruins. Ralph, what is the title of this Pixar movie?
Oh my gosh, like Devil's Tale or something. It's just oh man. I can't even, like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around coming out with Jalin Conyers and then bringing in Trenton Bourguet and the 4th down slant route to Elijah Badger toward the end of the game. Just some of the decisions that were being made in this game were, rage bait. They certainly were rage bait. Like, had they not worked, people would have been so upset, but they did. And I imagine there's a lot of people that are Arizona State fans that don't quite know how to feel about this game because, what do you say? Like, one of the biggest complaints is, they need to get their best players more involved. Well, there's nothing more involved than playing multiple positions in multiple formations that we've never seen before. So that should be one in the plus column. But I think most people know at the end of the day, you still have to be able to run the ball in a traditional manner. You still have to be able to have consistency out of your quarterback and to be able to rely on the fact that if your quarterback goes down, there will be somebody that can step in and run a traditional offense. None of those questions are answered. None of those questions matter at this point. It's just all you can do is say we won. That's it. And focus on that and just be filled with whatever comes with that.
The devil's tail.
A devil's tail.
Arizona State finding a way to take down a collegiate historic mastermind in Chip Kelly, outlasting and outdueling UCLA 17-7. Ralph, it is time to ask my favorite question.
Totri, don't make me do this
every
segment.
Single Saturday.
Don't make me do this segment, Totri.
Ralph, what was flicked into your tooth backpack this evening?
Oh, the tooth backpack. Negative yardage.
That's fair. That's fair.
Enjoy the cool, refreshing taste of negative yardage. Drain that clock with negative yardage.
I feel like that's a good Pixar.
Negative yardage?
That's a good movie.
That's the name of it?
Pixar movie.
You love it. You love it. This tastes like, oh man. This tastes like technology, honestly. That's exactly what this tastes like. It tastes like somebody that is trying to be really, really advanced. They always have the newest iPhone, the newest computer, the newest whatever. They consider themselves a tech expert in somebody who does something that you wouldn't even imagine would be in the same realm of a conversation. Ends up just grabbing the phone, shoving it in their mouth and being like, there you go. There's your technology. Chip Kelly, there's your phone in your mouth. There's your fun little offense that you wanted to run with a little triple option, right, in your defensive scheme. But we're just going to do things the way we kind of want to. We're going to play backyard football. And that's exactly what Kenny Dillingham did. Aftertaste wasn't what we're having. It's what Kenny Dillingham made Chip Kelly have. That's what aftertaste was tonight.
They really can't. We took away UCLA fans' excuse, the one excuse that brings any comfort whatsoever, the one that we've used repeatedly, which is, they're not healthy.
Yeah.
We could have had that one, but they're not healthy. Meanwhile, the team on the other side of you is saying, like, we're going to do whatever. And it's not like UCLA doesn't have Ken Niumatalolo on staff who ran the triple option at Navy for like over a dozen years, right? They should have had the ability to revamp that offense with multiple backs. You have an athletic quarterback who doesn't need to throw. They should have just gone all in on the triple option. You have the guy to run it on your staff, and you didn't do it. So there's no excuse. There's no comfort for UCLA fans at all. Not one bit. Because you can't say, well, we didn't have all our guys when the people that lined up across you didn't have any guys.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I think the funniest part about this whole thing is we're sitting here like, man, we don't know how to feel as Arizona State fans, right? A win is a win, absolutely. But like the way you won is head scratching. Now, on the other side, how should you feel if you're a UCLA fan when you find out that the opposing team Googled their game plan and took it from a giant 70s offense and said, yeah, we can implement this in 3 days and beat one of the best defenses in the nation, in the conference? Like, if you're a UCLA fan, that's even more incentive, I feel like, to just be like, yeah, I'm just going to crawl in a hole. I'm not going to watch on Saturdays. Sunday is my thing. I'm a Chargers or a Rams fan. I think that's exactly what they do. Like, there's no way that if you're a UCLA fan, you can justify losing to Arizona State tonight. No way.
No, because the light at the end of the tunnel is away games in Columbus, Ohio, and Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Madison, Wisconsin in November. Like, that's the light at the end. You're finally out of the Pac-12. You finally got what you wanted. You couldn't even muster 10 points against Arizona State at home in a season that matters for you and for your coach. And your reward is you get to go to Madison against a team that doesn't need anything other than 330-pound linemen and a 220-pound running back to do what they do. Like, there's no the UCLA's reward for breaking this conference up is a lot more games like the one that was played tonight. And I think they know that.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's tough. Craig Morgan was in here covering the Coyotes game, and we were watching it as time was winding down, and Cam Skattebo had just gotten that touchdown to extend it to 17-7. And he was standing there, and he just blurts out, he's like, God, USC and UCLA are such disappointments. And in reality, they are. I compared it to, like, they're the older privileged kids, always the oldest. They had everything force-fed to them, hand-picked, delivered to them. They had every opportunity to be successful. And nope, they're calling from jail again, or they're asking for money again, or what do you know, it's November 11th, and they're nowhere to be found, right? That's UCLA and USC. They are the children that constantly they're screw-ups, dude. They're screw-ups.
Out here losing it all on crypto.
It's exactly what they were doing, man. Look, if you're an Arizona State fan, I'm sleeping well, right? I'm honestly sleeping with a giant smile on my face because you weren't supposed to win this game. You were 14.5-point dogs. UCLA, again, one of the best defenses in the entire country. I believe they have 3 inside of the top 15 of defensive players in terms of the FBS quarterback pressures. Like, defensively, they are one of the best groups in all of college football. And Arizona State is like, yeah, you tight end, you're going to play quarterback, running back, you're going to punt, quarterback, you're going to stand on the sidelines from time to time. And we're just going to pretty much play keep away for the entire game. And it's going to work. That's what we're going to do. But regardless, we appreciate everyone staying with us. We still got more discussion about Arizona State and UCLA. Do Bobby Hurley a solid. Hit that like button. Arizona State, they got themselves an 11-point victory on the hardwood, the home opener for Arizona State. Hit that like button for Bobby Hurley. Now, if some of you guys are new here, I say it every week, you're probably wondering, why does this clown have sunglasses on at 11 o'clock at night? And there's 2 reasons. One, I believe in the products that we have here at PHNX, so I may or may not have participated with some OGs. And then also, you got to love your Shady Rays, guys. Shady Rays, the best sunglasses around, whether it's nighttime, whether you're indoors, or maybe you're outside enjoying an Arizona State victory. You can shop the entire collection at their brand new location, Kierland Commons, a full-stop shop for all things Shady Rays. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There is no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use that code PHNX for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. I know we had some people in the chat talking about how they cannot wait to go enjoy their victory coffee in the morning. I'm going to challenge you to not just have a victory coffee, but go have a victory breakfast burrito from Burrito Express, because that is going to hit just as hard as that victory coffee. Guys, they have 1,000,005 different kinds of breakfast burritos. There is bound to be one that fits you just the way Kenny Dillingham fits Arizona State. Okay, I promise. That burrito for me, the steak and egg, add bacon, it goes crazy, it goes stupid, it goes all of the things. It's a 5-star that is committed to Arizona State at some point, okay? Burrito Express, they got locations all over the valley. Check them out, grab a burrito, and follow Burrito Express on Twitter at BurritoEXP. Leighton in the chat, USC already down 3 scores to Oregon right now. Yeah, USC, after firing Alex Grinch last week, it's just when it rains, it pours in LA, man. Like, it's gone downhill pretty quickly for these 2 programs this season.
It has. I'm a little distracted because I'm sorry to switch topics, but it just hit me that what happened tonight at the Rose Bowl very much cushioned the blow of Jaden Daniels having 600 total yards
Yeah.
by himself tonight.
Yeah.
And you know what? We don't need yards.
Yeah.
We don't need them. Keep your yards.
Yards are overrated.
Keep your
Oh
yards.
my goodness. No, yeah. What he did tonight, 5 total touchdowns, 600 plus total yards.
Don't need them. 5 touchdowns? Don't need them.
It makes you wonder though, right? Just a little bit. Like your mind goes off into like thought bubble of like, ooh, I wonder what Jaden Rashada could do here. It's literally the scene in Finding Nemo where Bruce smells the blood and he's just like, ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's Kenny Dillingham watching Jaden Daniels.
You know what, though? I'm all about efficiency.
Negative yards, ladies and gentlemen. The Pixar animation featuring an animated Kenny Dillingham.
This was the C's get degrees game. But not, you know what's funny is not on defense. Not on defense. Like, would keep failing to acknowledge that this is an all-time defensive performance, and that UCLA doesn't have the excuse of no quarterback, because they could have done what Arizona State did. They could have done something that every team on the planet can do and run the triple option, and they had the staff to pull it off. And to not even make that attempt, like this is just on them.
It's kind of funny.
Very
Not
funny.
gonna lie. Josh in the chat, LSU isn't going to the SEC championship, so yeah, he made a bad decision to transfer. I don't know if I'd say a bad decision. He made a decision that was certainly not in the favor of Arizona State fans. I will tell you that. And if you would have told me a year and a half ago that Jaden Daniels and Brian Kelly would be a match made in heaven, I would have laughed you out of the room. But here we are in November of 2023, and that is the marriage that could potentially, I guess, give birth to a Heisman quarterback named Jaden Daniels. But you never know.
And if you're into the numerology stuff, Brian Kelly with Jaden Daniels as his starting quarterback is now 17-7, which is how much ASU beat UCLA by tonight.
Oh my goodness. The football gods are real. I hope you know that. And the football gods right now are telling me, Danielle, that it is time for closing time. Let's go ahead and get to some of the takeaways of Arizona State's 17-7 victory. Just off of the conversation with Ralph, the Arizona State defense at the end of the day, they should be credited with the Arizona State victory tonight, because Deshaun Mallory and company did exactly what they needed to hold that UCLA defense down. The next takeaway, genius. I'm talking about Kenny Dillingham and this coaching staff. Whether it was laughable, whether it was head-scratching, whatever you want to call it, you go to the dictionary, you look up genius. There's a big fat picture of Kenny Dillingham, because that's the game plan that he executed tonight. And finally, before we get out of here, Jalin Conyers and Scat. My goodness, 2 athletes that if you are a future transfer or if you are one day hoping to be a freshman at Arizona State, you can be excited, because if you are talented, you could quite possibly be the next Jalin Conyers or the next Cam Skattebo. Guys, that is going to do it for this PHNX Sun Devils postgame show. If you enjoyed the content, give us a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You could follow my main man, Ralph, at Ralph Amsden. You can follow Danielle, DJ Danielle behind the Mac at Abracat Danielle. Guys, on the way out, hit that like button for Bobby Hurley. We will see you guys on Tuesday, because, hey, it's a Victory Monday, 2 p.m. We'll see you there. In the meantime, guys, go Devils. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.